Yo, what up, everyone? Mike Hill, the Wholesaling Titan here. And what I want to do today is bring you in on a live phone call I had with a student and a buyer the other day. So in this clip, my student is looking to joint venture. She's a little bit newer and was a little bit unclear as to what to say to her buyer. So she asked me to get on their call and, have a three-way call. I'm going to go ahead and let you listen in on the phone call first. And then afterwards, I'll pop back in here to give you some additional context. We'll talk about the backstory with this deal. I want to emphasize a few points and answer some of your questions. And then I also want to give you some key pointers on one of the most important things you need to do and questions you need to ask when dealing with cash buyers to not only sell your deals, but to sell them for the highest price possible. So let's jump into this clip. It's a short one, maybe only about 5 minutes or so. And then I'll be right back.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
Good. Tell me the story of this property.
Excellent. Okay, who am I talking to, by the way?
My name is Daniel Arvat.
All right. Hey, pleasure to meet you. My name is Mike, by the way.
Mike.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
My favorite name. All my friends name Mike.
This is a good start. It's a great start.
You know too, right?
Yeah, right.
What was that?
My lawyer, my partners, they're all Mike. But there'll be another one. It's good.
This is a good sign. This is a good sign. Let me send you the contract right now. We don't talk about it. We'll just get it done. All right, so let me tell you a bit about this property and our situation right now. So this property was acquired by way of probate. The seller's mother passed away, and so he's basically looking to just basically liquidate, sell the property. I've not been there personally, right? I do have pictures from someone who's been down there, and those are what you've seen. Those are recent. As far as I know, it's in good condition. Needs maybe some minor cosmetic updating, and then again, just junk removal. Where we are now, obviously, we are wholesalers, so we are looking to turn around and flip this. And again, so you're familiar with the process, right?
With what?
With just buying from wholesalers, more or less, we're looking for the cash offers stuff. Okay, great. And so any type of walkthroughs and or inspections, will be done before we present the contract. And I'll tell you exactly what we're looking for in just a moment. But essentially, just the gentleman, he just lost his mom and not too keen on entertaining too many showings. We do have some interest on the property, so we have several buyers that are going to be going by today. If you'd like to do that, we can, I can definitely get you in there.
I can go now. Actually, I'm in the area.
Listen, I would love to, but again, we do have to clear everything with the seller, especially with it being a sensitive situation. And just don't want to have too many people coming through all day. So we're tentatively scheduled for 5 p.m. today. I do need to call and confirm with him around 12 o'clock because he said he may or may not be there. So as of right now, that's where we stand.
I don't really care too much. I mean, as long as this is the house is from concrete, blocks, so it's wood.
Oh, it's concrete. Yeah, this one is concrete block.
Okay, good. All right.
So, Jamie, you can just go to this neighborhood, it's close by.
I'm going to go and look.
Yeah, and just take a look.
Okay, fantastic. So I know he's not there now, but if you did want to drive by, that would be fine.
Mike, just to look at the neighborhood.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. If you want to drive by, that'd be great. That'd be fine.
Exactly.
I tell you if it's me or not. But certain streets are great, and not so great. So let me see if it's a street that I think it could be good. So that's in 217.
Correct, yeah.
You think they take 200 to cross in 1 week?
But did I send you compatibles, Danny?
You said, I'm sorry, I missed your question. Was it 200 you said?
Can you cross the 200? I give you cash.
I would not be able to do 200. Our purchase price is actually higher than that right now. I do think the numbers really work on this one. We're probably expecting a full price offer and just as much as I would love to kind of get this done quickly, I'm always looking to more or less move with a sense of urgency. But because we do have several buyers, right now I have 5 confirmed going, we're more or less going to be just taking the highest and best offers, and then whoever presents the best offer, we wouldn't make a decision until that time. But either way, we'll know, assuming that our 5 p.m. does go as scheduled, we will be able to make that decision by end of today. So we're not going to try to draw this thing out and to make this thing take forever. But we would have to wait for everyone to go ahead and present their offers.
So you're a wholesaler.
Correct. Yeah.
So you buy it from the probate.
From everywhere, man. We find them, we negotiate them, we buy them, and we bring them to good people like yourself, preferably those named Mike. But
you're working with Laron? You're working with Laron?
Laron? No.
I don't.
No, I don't know that person.
All right.
So, but Mike, Danny, did I send you comparables for this property?
I do have some. I can go ahead and send those to you.
Yeah, I can email to you. I forgot your email. Can you just send me your email so I'm going to send you all info?
Yeah, so grab that, and then Marina, I'll also send you what I have if you'd like to forward that as well.
What are your comparables there?
No, I'm going to send you, you can see. Just send me your email, that's it. Okay, so, Mike, you're going to let me know if we receive offers today, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
I'm going to go and look now and I'll tell you yes or no.
Okay.
It's in the neighborhood. If I like the neighborhood, I buy it. If not.
Okay, let me know.
Sounds great.
And I'm going to send me your email and send you comparable.
Okay. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Okay, nice talking to you both.
Bye.
Marina, I'll give you a call in a little bit.
Yes, okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
All right, take care.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so this is just a quick call with another student. Just wanted to three-way me in on the call with their buyer. One thing I just really wanted to point out is a lot of times you'll have questions where the buyer will say to you, hey, what's the best you can do? Or, hey, if I do this number right now, will you take it? Or, hey, just give me your bottom line. It's very tempting. A lot of wholesale, especially when you're new, you kind of get razzled and you want to throw out a number. But the proper way to go about answering this question is, hey, you know what? I took a look at this. I do think the numbers really work. We are expecting a full price offer. So again, you understand, I'm not in a position to take an offer right now because I do have other buyers interested. So also the subtle implication of what we're saying here is there's some competition. So number one, I'm not just going to take the first thing. There are other people looking at it. So if you want this, you need to come correct, like come full price. There's the potential, remember FOMO, right? The fear of missing out. And a lot of times the fear of loss, even if it's a potential loss, is a lot more motivating than even the potential of gain. Meaning that if I came to you and I said, hey, I got this opportunity where you could, if you do X, Y, Z, I'll give you $100. That'd be somewhat motivating. But if I came to you and said, hey, if you don't do X, Y, Z, I'll take $100 out of your bank account. And for the average person, they're going to be more motivated by loss. So that's the thing that we're kind of trying to sub-communicate here. So you can always tell people, again, you can just say, hey, there's other interests in there. I'm not going to be able to come to that decision. I am expecting a full price offer. So if you, just want to, either they can take it at full price and you can maybe say, okay, but, I do have to wait. And then again, that's how you can get by without people like trying to pressure you into a low number. So I got to take another phone call, but again, guys, I'll be sharing some more of these things with you. So hopefully that helps, and talk to you soon. All right, so let me tell you a little bit of the backstory about what's going on here. This is a probate deal that one of my students got under contract. I sent it to my buyer's list, and I got a lot of action on it. We sold it sight unseen to a buyer for $10,000 profit. The buyer signed a contract. They agreed to a 0-day inspection period and a non-refundable $10,000 deposit. So long story short, I dismissed all the other buyers that were interested and potential offers. I called the title company to confirm that the deposit had been wired and received. I received that confirmation, and then later, that buyer came back to me to try and get a lower price when we already had a signed agreement. And then they went ahead and made this claim that the wire they sent was actually for a different property. It was just closing at the same title company. And this is not something that's common. It was really shady the way that they did it. I won't waste your time with all the details. Might even pursue some action later. But, shit happens. I really didn't want to negotiate. I just don't want to deal with people like that. And I already had a bunch of other buyers who were interested anyway. So at that point, my goal was basically like, let's just get this deal done. And so while I'm hitting up all of my other buyers and people express interest, I decided to issue a little challenge to my students. So I want to bring you into my world again. You guys know I do one-on-one coaching with my students, but we also have our secret Facebook Mastermind group where I can do exclusive, Q&A sessions and go live, and we can exchange ideas and deals, answer questions, stuff like that in that group. So let's jump in here and I'll show you this post that I made. All right, so here we are inside of our secret Facebook Mastermind group. This is the post that I made to my students. And so I started off, trying to get some attention here. Want an easy JV, literally a couple of G's in your pocket before the holidays, no money out of your pocket. All you have to do is outwork me. Advertise this deal, go to my link, it's the link on my website, copy and paste the description, download the pictures, get on the phone, call everyone you can, make more Craigslist posts to me, post it everywhere you can, share across social media, DM your friends and followers, put out bandit signs, call, text, and email any buyers you have, get busy, get creative, make this priority number one today. Now, I'm letting the group know that this is, insert student's name, deal. We had a buyer sign a contract for $222, but the deal fell through. The numbers work. If you find a buyer, you guys can totally cut me out of the deal and split the profits between yourselves 50-50. And of course, I'll still guide you through to closing because that's what I do. Side note, I respect everyone's privacy in this group and I never disclose your deals, earnings, etc. without your permission, but I know student name. And I'm making an executive decision to break my own rule. That said, student, I'm calling you out publicly. You should have beat me to this post. Call out, I love, bro. Okay, so a few tips. Tip number one, this property is not on lockbox, so there's going to be a limit on showings. You therefore need to make sure your buyers are legit. Ask the uncomfortable questions, including this specifically. This is very important. If the property is as presented, can you sign a 0-day inspection contract today, submit $10,000 earnest money tomorrow, and close with cash within 2 weeks? Only people who say yes to that question are eligible to see the property. That's to weed out the tire kickers. You don't want to be working with other wholesalers posing as buyers. You can ask if they're using cash or hard money. Ask where they buy. Ask how much they buy. Ask for proof of funds. Bank statement only. Ask for their company name. Google it. Ask if they're wholesalers. Be thorough. Real buyers will actually respect you for it and further legitimize you as a good wholesaler in their minds. Now, tip number two. Nothing in this business exists in a vacuum, meaning you can't take an action today, not see results today, and think this is a waste or this didn't work. Every ad that you place, every call you make, every sign you place, it's advertising not just for this, but for future business. Someone may see that same ad or post 2 months from now and contact you. I've spoken to buyers, written them off, and then had them buy from me 6 months later on a different property. So don't make your efforts in vain. In fact, a lot of people build their buyers list by placing ghost ads. When buyers call, they just say, this one's no longer available, but what else can I get you? Make sure you get to know them, qualify them for future business, even if it's not on this house. If they are legit, make sure you get their contact info, phone, email, buying criteria, the more specific, the better, and save them to your buyers list. Even if they aren't, say for example, even if they aren't legit buyers, maybe they're other wholesalers, at least get their info and talk about how maybe you guys can JV in the future. If you don't have an autoresponder email client, I use GetResponse. You can use Google Docs, spreadsheet, or Excel. Will suffice. And then, clock ticking, people. Challenge issue. You're competing against me in the clock. Best of luck. And then I tell them you can message that other student for any additional details. We're talking a few hours of work for a minimum 4-figure payday before the holidays. And I give them my link. All right. And then so later that day, I, posted some other live stuff. There was me talking to a different buyer. I did another live session on dealing with buyers and some Q&A. And, matter of fact, and it's our private group. It's supposed to be exclusive. But if I get some requests down here in the comments, I'll go ahead and share those videos on the YouTube channel. So back to the call, right? I touched on this briefly, but I just want to reiterate and dive a little bit deeper here, okay? So oftentimes buyers will ask you for your lowest offer. Usually they're going to say something to you like, be straight with me here. What do you need? what's the best you can do? And, what would it take to get the deal done? And a lot of times, especially as a new wholesaler, I see this all the time, you'll feel a lot of pressure. You're anxious to get a deal done, especially if it's your first. And ultimately, you feel compelled to give a number. And there are a lot of nuances to not only what you say, but how you say it. I might do like a separate deep dive video on that later. But just to highlight, give you a general overview. And if you're taking notes, you might want to jot this down. But first of all, you never ever want to give a number first. If the buyer's really interested, they will make you an offer. You're never going to lose a deal from a serious buyer for not naming a price first. So in the vast majority of cases, they want to get a price from you so they can basically just drive your price down. And so here are couple other bullet points for you, right? You want to say in a very friendly way and show that you want to work with them, but you want to communicate a few things. So usually I'm going to say something like, we are anticipating a full price offer. I do have other buyers that are interested in the property, and I've got a bit of time to sell this. So at this point, I'm just taking all offers, and once to receive offers from everyone interested, we're just going to go ahead and select the best offer. I mean, you know how it goes. And so a couple things with that. Also, some other stuff I like to do is, I do mention I'm not trying to drag this out, but I do have to give everyone the opportunity to present an offer. And then when you're speaking to them, you kind of want to use this like reasonable guy tonality. At which point you can also reiterate that you are a wholesaler, just to remind them. Any legit buyer who's buying from you, they know the nature of your business. And if they don't, it's fine to educate them on that. I've mentioned to you guys before that when you're dealing with cash buyers, you want them to know that you're a wholesaler. You don't want them thinking that you're just selling one house. You want them to know what you're doing. You want them to know that this is a business for you and not a hobby. You want them to know that you get multiple properties. You want them to know that you have other buyers, so that way there's some competition. You want them to know, that you don't want to sell them just one house. You want to work with them multiple times. You want them telling their friends about you. And I think ultimately you are trying to communicate two things. The first one is that you have other buyers interested and that there's some competition. Naturally, as people, we want what other people want. It's indicative that it's validation that it's good. It's also going to create a sense of urgency, some FOMO. I'm always talking about fear of missing out. If they don't act now, they can lose out on this opportunity. And then the second piece is that, remember, investors have a problem. They want to buy houses that make them money, and they need to see you as the solution to that problem. And then, of course, they're willing to compensate you for your efforts, right? So once they understand that and they understand what you're doing, for me, I'll actually say something like, I'll even say it. I'll say, you understand what I'm saying, right? Again, just that reasonable guy tonality. And typically they have no choice but to agree. And also this is important. You don't want to view this or frame this as a price haggling scenario where you guys are against each other. Now, it's not like a car dealership or even like a street market or something like that, right? Don't go into this with that type of mentality. So rather than coming from this competitive frame, you want to come from a place of collaboration, a place where you are looking to help this investor, as really you should be, right? So oftentimes I'll tell my buyers, hey, just tell me what works for you. And if I can do it, I'd be happy to. Meaning that, maybe what you're looking for is a little bit too low, but if you tell me where you need to be, I can go back and renegotiate with the seller on your behalf. Essentially, I'm putting in the work and justifying my fee, and I'm going to work on your behalf to get you what you need. And it's really good to come from that because for the future, you want to build good relationships with people and you want them coming back to do repeat business. And then when you say this, just be very nonchalant. Hey, if I can do it and make this work for you, I'll do everything I can to get you where you need to be. And if I can't, I can't, and I'll get you something else. Also, if buyers see you as a one-time deal, they're likely to be more aggressive with their negotiations, right? But that old adage of people do business with those they know, like, and trust. It's just so true. And I'm not telling you to fake this. I'm telling you to be this, and your buyers will want to see you successful. So, think about if you go to a restaurant one time, you're never going back there again. Service is good. You'll leave a good tip. But, how about the restaurant you always go to when you have the same server take care of you every time? They look out for you. You're going to see them again. You have that familiarity bias. You're probably going to tip them more. It's not uncommon for my buyers to ask me things like, how's Jay doing? I know that they want me to succeed. All right. So back to some more of the technical stuff. I want you to keep in mind that until the buyer has given a price, they haven't committed yet to, even admit that there's a deal they would make. And once they throw a number out there, no matter what it is, at that point, they've admitted that there is a deal they would make. So that's an emotional threshold that they've crossed, and they're much more likely to come to a mutually beneficial agreement. Now, another technique that works really well is to ask open-ended questions. You can also make assumptions about what they're looking for, and then you go ahead and label it. So in negotiation, this idea of labeling, very powerful and very effective technique. So an example would sound something like this. It seems like you have a range in mind, or what kind of range do you have in mind? And then you can follow up by mirroring their answer. So that's basically just repeating what they just said, and then they'll usually just disclose more details. So another example would be like, hey, it seems like you've done some research, or it seems like you've put some thought into this. And then you just don't say anything, and then let them talk. And then again, you just mirror. So if they say, yeah, my friend, he just bought one down the street to rehab for $150K. Oh, your friend just bought one for $150K? And usually they just start talking about that, the reasons why, justifications. They show you their true motive. You'll build some rapport, and then it just typically gets a lot smoother from there. So those are just a few tips that can help you when you're working with buyers. But again, I think the biggest takeaway here is that you do not ever want to give the price first. Okay? All right, so now I want to give you some thoughts on and some tips on joint venturing. So most of you probably already know that I have my own mentor, amazing guy, still doing deals. I would not be in the place I am today without him. But what you might not know is that in addition to my original mentor, I also joined several other different mentoring programs. And that wasn't because I didn't have sufficient information or training, although I'm always curious to learn and see how other people work and how other operations work. I do think that you can get value and learn from everyone. But rather than my primary motivation being more information, it was really about networking and leveraging other people's buyers lists while simultaneously expanding my own. And so here's my experience, right? These programs were set up in such a way that if you as the student sent them a property, they emailed it to their buyers list, you had to split the deal with them regardless of who found the buyer. So look, I'm a team player. I love doing joint venture deals. They're a very large part of my business. I also have a merit or like a performance-based mentality, meaning that if someone brings me a buyer for one of my properties, I am so down to split the profits 50-50. I think it's the right thing to do. It's a standard practice in our industry. But however, and because I wasn't new at this time, the specific structure here seemed very unfair to me. So let me put it to you like this. If I'm making $20,000 on a deal, I will be happy, ecstatic to give you $10,000 if you're bringing a buyer to the table. But if you just take my deal, email it out, and you get me 0 results, and I get my own results, meaning that I find my own buyer, I'm supposed to just hand you $10,000? I can even understand if it was for your first deal or for a specific number of deals, say maybe your first 3 deals, but they wanted that agreement indefinitely. So I found that very problematic. But that's how a lot of mentoring programs are set up these days. And so the way I work with my students in my program, and you probably saw this in the Facebook group post, is that if I find them a buyer for their deals, which happens pretty often because I've been building my list since 2020, we're going to split the deal 50-50. If a student finds their own buyer, which I encourage, they keep 100%. Now, if somebody else brings a buyer, they split the deal with that other person, and I have nothing to do with the deal. Again, I think that's the fair way to do business, but I also think that really incentivizes me as a mentor to do everything in my power to make sure that we close deals. Now, there's been a few times where I've received DMs and emails and messages accusing me of using students as bird dogs to make money. And to this I say, of course I am. Look, I'm in the business of making win-win situations. It's how it should be. I was a bird dog for my mentor. I brought him a lot of deals. We did close a lot of deals, split a lot of deals together. I expect to do a lot of joint venture deals with my students as long as I'm bringing not only the knowledge, but again, tangible buyers to the table. And so yes, this is absolutely a means of lead generation for me as well. And I'm pretty transparent about that. And then in the future, I expect my students to have their own bird dogs, to share the knowledge, to train people who bring them deals. My goal is not just to teach, knowledge is great, but it can only go so far. Knowledge alone is not going to put money in your bank account. And so my goal is to just make sure that students get paid. And so with that said, if you're interested in this business or better yet, let me say, if you're committed to this business and interested in working with me, I would love to hear from you. Now, I'm reopening space in my mentoring program, but I'm changing up how I do it, how I go about the training. And this is pretty cool. So previously, the way it worked was that, I had a set number of spaces and anybody could come on my website, pay the registration fee, and then join. And then I'd close it off and we'd have a wait list until spots reopen again. And here's the thing about wholesaling, right? If you look at the tagline or, the elevator pitch, if you will, of what makes this business model so attractive, it's that, one, you can get into real estate investing with no money and it can be highly lucrative. And then two, you can work less. It's not uncommon for me to work in my business less than 20 hours a week, for example. And then, in the past, to that degree, I think that attracted either the wrong types of people or people who misunderstood or just had unrealistic expectations. I really want to clarify this here. You can absolutely start in real estate with zero money. I did it. My students have done it. And I really don't know of any other business model where this is true. You want to own a restaurant, there's startup costs, a lot of them. Bitcoin, you want to buy it, you need money. Stocks, you need money. You want a franchise, you're going to need like $1 million, right? But the idea here is that it's not just a business that runs with no money. It's that you can start with no money and then make profits. And then you take the profits from those no money down deals and reinvest them into your business. You should want to spend in your business. That's how you grow and become successful. So again, it's not that you don't use money, but it's that you don't have to go into debt for it. You don't need in the beginning to start, right? You never have to spend out of your pocket. The next part about working with less time is you got to realize it doesn't start that way, right? You don't get to start with no money and put in minimal effort and see results. So especially if you're starting with a limited budget, in the beginning, you should expect to be working a lot. You should be working more than the average person, It was not uncommon for me to be working 6 days a week, making sacrifices, getting up early, going to bed late, giving up things like television, doing things I didn't necessarily want to do. But with time and work and investment, that's when it gets easier. And then at that point, you can reap the rewards of your initial efforts, which is your time and your freedom back. So here's how this is working now, right? I'm going to invite you to go ahead and click on the link in the description. Down below, it's going to take you to a page where I show you exactly how the program works now, what the expectations are of you, how you can be successful, their case studies, testimonials from other students. And then after you read through everything, you'll have an opportunity to actually jump on a phone call with me. Now, keep in mind, I'm not outsourcing any of my coaching. All mentoring is done by me personally. So there truly are a limited number of spaces for phone calls and spaces in the mentoring program. But I really think that by getting the right types of people into the program, not only is it very fulfilling for me on a personal level, I'm providing a step-by-step blueprint and accountability, and then seeing people actually getting results. That's literally changing lives, right? But with the right person, it means that I'm much more willing to go the extra mile, to put in manual effort to get you results. So if you look at emails that I send my students, this is one-on-one stuff. It's very detailed. I tell them exactly what to do. The action steps, very objective, no guesswork. It's not uncommon for me to spend hours on the phone with some of my students per week, And but let me backpedal for a second here because I'm not trying to have my phone blowing up constantly. I say that I tend to reflect the effort back that a student puts in. It's like that old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Meaning that if you don't do the work, I cannot make you successful. But, if I have someone that's truly diligent, they execute on the step-by-step instructions that I give them, I'm more than willing to put in that extra effort. You can see text messages on my phone from students all day long, hour-long coaching sessions, multiple times a week in some cases, hundreds of detailed emails going back and forth. If you're looking for a mentorship where you can literally say to your mentor, hey, I'm not sure what the sales potential deal I have. Can you get on a 3-way call with me? It's just not something I see. It's not something I'm going to be able to do forever. If in fact, in time, I probably will bring on additional coaches who will probably be former students, by the way. But as of now, this is how we're doing this, man. This is my passion. I'm doing whatever it takes to get deals done. So here's what I'm striving for here, right? Is to work with like-minded individuals with work ethic, with some passion, some positivity. Matter of fact, if you go on the webpage, there's a portion where it'll tell you for the specific attributes that I'm looking for in an ideal student. So go ahead and click that link below, check it out, jump on a call with me. I'll answer any questions you have. We'll see if it's a good fit for us to work together. If not, it's perfectly fine. Worst case scenario, I'll give you some really good advice, add some value to your life. Best case scenario, we'll do a lot of life-changing business together. Remember, at the time it's recording, the YouTube channel alone has about 12,000 subscribers. It's not even including my other social media. So there is truly a limit to the number of people that I can work with on a one-on-one basis. I have a few time slots reserved for calls right now. So if you're interested to any degree, just go ahead and click on the link so you do not miss out. Also, don't forget that if you're interested in seeing the other Q&A live stuff I talked about earlier from my private Facebook group, let me know in the comments, and if there's demand, I'll go ahead and post those videos publicly. If you have any other questions or comments, shoot them to me either here or DM me on Instagram, MikeHillTWT. Also, follow me there for live sessions where I can answer all of your questions for my Instagram live sessions. And then as always, if you've gotten any value from this, please do consider liking, sharing, and subscribing, as it does help the channel out a great deal. Also, make sure your notifications are on so you don't miss any new videos. I know I still owe you guys the video on title companies and title insurance. That's on the way. I'm going to be walking you through some deals. I'm going to show you how to increase your conversion rate on getting contracts signed and deals under contract. We're going to talk about negotiating, and I got a lot of other really cool stuff planned. So, make sure you don't miss out. Thank you again for watching this video. I really look forward to the action takers that I'll be talking to over the phone very, very soon. So happy wholesaling. And I think I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. All right. Thank you guys so much. And I'll talk to you soon. Peace.